Pikachu is the undisputed GOAT of the Pokemon world. I mean, in the very first episode, he took out a rampaging flock of Spearrows all on his own, but that was just the beginning. Throughout the series, Pikachu has proven time and time again that he's an absolute beast. From single-handedly taking out a Mega Metagross in the X and Y series, to defeating a full-size Dragonite in the Orange Islands, to even going toe-to-toe with the legendary Pokémon Latios in the Diamond and Pearl series, this little yellow mouse is no joke. And it's because of Pikachu's insane power that Team Rocket was rarely ever able to best Ash and his team. This got me thinking, what if Team Rocket had actually managed to capture Pikachu in the first few episodes of Pokemon? How would Pikachu have changed? And how would it have impacted Team Rocket's legacy? Let's find out. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we dive into the video, I've noticed that only 25% of you watching are subscribed. That's not cool, so make sure to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell because I have some seriously insane videos being prepared for 2025 that you don't want to miss out on. Alright, let's get back to the video. Chapter 1. Insane Luck. Meowth couldn't believe his luck. After years and years of trying to capture Pokemon, they had finally done it. They had captured one strong enough that they could present it to their boss, Giovanni. "The boss is going to be so happy," Meowth said to his comrades, Jesse and James. Jesse was in the front seat driving, while James sat in the passenger seat, holding onto a Pokeball that contained their prize. A Pikachu with an insane amount of strength, especially considering how inexperienced it was. As Meowth looked out the window, a feeling of triumph washed over him. He couldn't help but laugh at how easy it had all been. In the dead of night, he, Jesse, and James had sneaked into the Viridian City Pokemon Center. While Jesse and James were rummaging through a nearby storage space, it was Meowth who had discovered the little Pikachu sleeping in one of the incubation chambers. Nodes and probes had been attached to it, making it clear that the little guy had been injured during a recent battle, which made it extremely easy to capture. All Meowth had to do was use a measly old normal Pokeball, and bam, he had one of their strongest catches to date. It had been 3 days since they snagged their haul of Pokemon, and now they were on their way to Celadon City, where they would present their findings to the boss, Giovanni. Meowth couldn't wait. "Can't you drive any faster?" Meowth asked Jesse, his impatience growing. "And ruin my freshly trimmed fingernails," Jesse shot back, eyes on the road. "No way." "I'm so bored," James groaned from the back seat. "How about we play a game? I spy with my little eye a Pokemon starting with..." Suddenly, James was interrupted by the Pokeball sitting in his lap. A red beam of light erupted, shooting toward the dashboard of the Jeep. It was Pikachu. The little Pokemon looked confused, but also furious. Its eyes darted to Meowth, and its tiny hands and face clenched with determination. "Uh-oh," Meowth muttered just before the entire car was filled with electricity as Pikachu unleashed a thunderbolt. "Make him stop!" James cried, clutching the Pokeball. "Make it stop!" Meowth thought frantically, his teeth clenched. "How the heck am I supposed to make it stop?" But then Pikachu stopped. The electricity subsided, and the little Pokemon began panting heavily before collapsing onto the dashboard, gasping for air. Fortunately for Team Rocket, its injuries hadn't fully healed yet. "Whoa, little guy, take it easy. You're still recovering from your injuries. Here, take this." Meowth handed Pikachu a small handful of Leppa berries, berries known to help Pokemon regain their strength. "Feeling better, little guy?" Meowth asked gently. "Pika," Pikachu replied with a cheerful smile, its ears twitching slightly. "Pika?" Pikachu said again, this time in a curious tone. "What's he saying?" Jesse and James asked in unison. Cupping his hands to his mouth, Meowth whispered to the pair, "He's asking where his trainer is." Turning back to Pikachu, Meowth replied, "Your trainer is gone. He abandoned you at the Pokemon Center. I begged and begged him to take you with him, but he said he didn't want to waste his time on a lazy, weak Pokemon." Of course, Meowth had swiped Pikachu's medical records and knew its trainer was a young boy from Pallet Town named Ash. Pikachu's ears drooped and its expression turned sad. They must have shared a strong bond, Meowth thought. But then Pikachu puffed up its chest and let out a confident "Pika, Pika, Pika." Meowth interpreted immediately. "I don't care. It's the trainer who's weak." "Phew! Bullet dodged," Meowth thought. "So, you want to be strong, huh? Is that right, Pikachu?" "Pika," Pikachu responded firmly. "Well, you're in the right place," Meowth said with a sly grin. "We're on our way to meet the boss of Team Rocket, Giovanni. He's the strongest trainer in the world. There you'll get the chance to train with some of the finest Pokemon around." Pika! Pikachu cried out with determination, throwing its left paw into the air. But in its excitement, another jolt of electricity surged through the car, shocking the entire Team Rocket trio. Are we there yet? James groaned, slumping into his seat. Chapter 2. The Boss. Giovanni sat in his lavish office, his left hand stroking the Persian that lounged beside him, poised and disciplined like a well-trained Pokémon should be. In his right hand, he casually tossed a Pokéball containing an immensely powerful Rhydon. One wrong move and the Pokémon could be accidentally released, wreaking havoc in his office. But Giovanni was a man of precision. Mistakes were simply not part of his nature. As he waited, his thoughts turned to his subordinates. Jesse, James, and that peculiar talking Meowth had claimed they had a great haul of Pokémon to present to him, including an exceptionally strong one. This Pokémon could be everything he had been searching for, he thought to himself. But this particular crew had failed him time and time again. If they failed today, this would be their final act as members of Team Rocket. The door creaked open and the three entered, wheeling in a steel case. Oddly, they also had a Pikachu walking next to them. Strange. Boss, James began nervously, but Giovanni cut him off sharply. I have no time for your ramblings. Present me with your findings, Giovanni commanded, his elbows resting on his desk. Beside him, Persian growled softly, as if punctuating the order. Yes, of course, Jessie said hastily, placing the briefcase on the desk. She unclasped it with a dramatic flourish, spinning it around to reveal its contents. 12 Pokeballs. A sight to behold until Giovanni inspected the stickers on each Pokeball. The top row, 3 Weedles and a Metapod. The second row, 2 Caterpies and 2 Butterfrees. The bottom row, 1 Bulbasaur, 2 Rattatas, and Eradicate. Giovanni's expression darkened. Is this some kind of joke? He asked, his voice cold. You come all this way, waste my time, and present me with 11 useless Pokemon and 1 half-decent Bulbasaur? He stood, his imposing figure casting a shadow over the trio. You're done. Remove your badges and uniforms and— Wait, sir, Meowth interrupted, stepping forward. Giovanni's eyes narrowed. Normally, he wouldn't tolerate such insolence, but something about Meowth always intrigued him, so he allowed it. Sir, we do have 1 more Pokemon, Meowth said, gesturing towards Pikachu. Why am I only hearing about this now? Giovanni asked, his tone icy. Well, you see, boss, Meowth began nervously, this Pikachu has a bit of an attitude problem. He won't stay in the Pokeball and has a habit of electrocuting anyone nearby. Giovanni's gaze shifted to Pikachu, who met it with a smug nod, chin tilted upward before uttering a defiant Pika. Interesting, Giovanni mused. And its power levels. Through the roof, boss. Never seen anything like it, Meowth said confidently. And you secured this Pikachu? Giovanni inquired. Meowth hesitated. He could share the credit with Jesse and James, ensuring their membership, or take sole responsibility and secure a place in Giovanni's good graces. He was tired of being dragged down by them. It was me, boss. I secured him while the others were busy with the Caterpies, Meowth declared. Meowth! Jesse and James cried in unison. How could you? Take them away, Giovanni ordered the henchmen standing outside the door. As Jesse and James were escorted out, Giovanni turned to Meowth. You and I have something worth discussing, he said, a calculating gleam in his eye. Chapter 3. Full Potential. At first, Meowth didn't understand why Giovanni had decided to get rid of Jesse and James, but chose to keep him. However, it all became clear as Giovanni laid out his grand plan. Giovanni revealed that he was working on a secret project, one that sought to shake the very foundation of the Pokémon world. He intended to clone the legendary Pokémon, Mew. No, he wasn't just intending, he was already deep into the process, but there were 2 key pieces of the puzzle he still needed. First, he required the genetic material of an abnormally strong Pokémon with exceptionally high base stats. That was where Pikachu came in. Second, he needed someone who could communicate seamlessly with both Pokémon and humans. That was Meowth's role. Over the next year, the team worked tirelessly. Pikachu was subjected to rigorous testing, not just to study his immense power, but to enhance it further. Giovanni even began grooming Pikachu to be his new sidekick, planning to replace the Persian that loyally sat by his side. Despite some guilt, Meowth wasn't about to jeopardize his position by raising objections. While Pikachu endured intense training, Meowth worked alongside the team of scientists and their Pokémon, helping to bring Giovanni's cloning project to life. Months of labor finally culminated in success. The team had created a living, breathing clone of the legendary Mew, a Pokémon they aptly named Mewtwo. From that moment on, Pikachu and Meowth became inseparable. Day after day, Pikachu, alongside other Pokémon, was thrown into battle arenas to test Mewtwo's growing power. The clone was constantly monitored, with wires and machines analyzing its every move. Meowth couldn't believe the sheer strength Mewtwo possessed. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. But what stunned him even more was Pikachu. How could something so small hold such incredible power? He often wondered what might happen if Pikachu were exposed to a Thunderstone, a question he suspected Giovanni was also pondering. Nearly 2 years after Meowth had captured Pikachu, Giovanni summoned both of them to an underground laboratory in Celadon City. At the back of the lab stood Mewtwo, as always, solemnly hooked up to various machines. It silently stared at Giovanni and Meowth, its piercing eyes revealing nothing. "Pikachu," Giovanni began, "you've grown stronger and stronger over the past 2 years. However, my scientists tell me you've reached your peak. It's time for you to take the next step in your evolution." Giovanni pulled a Thunderstone from his pocket, its faint glow casting an ominous light. Pikachu flinched at the sight of it. "Boss, don't you think you should at least ask Pikachu if he wants to evolve?" Meowth ventured cautiously. "Silence, Meowth," Giovanni snapped. "This is not a place for emotions or feelings. This is a place of power, and we do whatever it takes to achieve it, no matter the cost." Turning back to Pikachu, Giovanni continued. "Come to me and reach your full potential, once and for all." Hesitantly, Pikachu began to walk toward Giovanni. The faint glow of the Thunderstone intensified, and Pikachu's tail started to shimmer, signaling the beginning of evolution. Or so it seemed. Out of nowhere, Pikachu unleashed a powerful electric shock directly at Giovanni, sending him stumbling backward. Before anyone could react, Pikachu darted into a ventilation system at the back of the lab. "Seize him!" Giovanni roared, pointing toward the vent. Without hesitation, Meowth raced into the ventilation system. As he crawled through the narrow passages, one thought raced through his mind. Was he here to help Pikachu escape, or was he still loyal to Giovanni and the mission? He wasn't so sure himself. Chapter 4, Something Right. While crawling through the ventilation system, Meowth couldn't stop thinking about the last 2 years. About how he had betrayed his best friends, Jesse and James. About how much cruelty Team Rocket had inflicted, not just on Pikachu, but on countless other Pokémon, including Mewtwo. He had finally achieved the position he always dreamed of, standing at Giovanni's side, but at what cost? Behind him, Meowth heard the growling and scraping of claws, Growlithe sniffing their way through the system in pursuit. One darted past him, nearly knocking him over, while 2 more trailed closely behind. Meowth pressed on until he reached a dead end, where he found Pikachu bracing for a fight. "Take it easy," Meowth said, holding up his paws in surrender. "I'm not gonna do anything, not that I even could." Pikachu, realizing Meowth posed no real threat, cautiously relaxed. "Look, Pikachu," Meowth began, "I need to tell you the truth. All those years ago, your trainer didn't abandon you. We kidnapped you. And from what I've heard, he's been searching for you non-stop ever since." Pikachu tilted his head in confusion, clearly struggling to comprehend the weight of Meowth's words. "What I'm saying is, you don't belong here. You belong with the trainer you were with when we found you. I'm gonna help you escape, okay? Just trust me." Hesitant, Pikachu began to follow Meowth, but always from a cautious distance. It was clear that, while Pikachu didn't view Meowth as an enemy, full trust was not there. Eventually, they reached an opening in the lab near Mewtwo's containment area. Behind Mewtwo was a large door that led to an open field on the outskirts of Celadon City, a place where Mewtwo was often made to spar against other Pokémon, always with restrictive equipment preventing his escape. "Listen, Pikachu," Meowth whispered. "If you use your electricity to overload the mainframe, you'll be able to free both yourself and Mewtwo. He doesn't speak, but I know he hates it here. These nodes keep him trapped, and he can't escape while they're attached to him." Pikachu looked at Meowth for a moment and then gave a determined nod. Sparks began to gather around his cheeks before he unleashed a powerful electric shock on the mainframe. The alarms blared immediately. Team Rocket henchmen poured into the room, releasing their Pokémon in desperation to stop Pikachu. Rhydon, Onix, Golems, Raticate, even Giovanni himself joined the fray, throwing his own Pokéballs to summon a Nidoking. But it was no use. Pikachu's electricity successfully overloaded the mainframe, causing the robotic components restraining Mewtwo to fall to the ground with a clatter. The moment Mewtwo was free, the room fell silent, just for an instant. Then, with a single mighty push, Mewtwo used his psychic abilities to hurl every Pokémon and Team Rocket member across the room. It was chaos. "Run, Pikachu!" Meowth shouted over the commotion. As Pikachu darted toward the exit, Meowth glanced back at the devastation one last time. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was doing something right, even if it meant leaving everything he thought he wanted behind. Chapter 5, Tough Decision. Amidst the smoke and rubble, Pikachu and Meowth dashed out the back entrance of the lab, up a set of stairs and into the open field. Behind them, a massive explosion erupted, sending shockwaves through the air. Moments later, Mewtwo soared out from the wreckage, his body glowing faintly as he floated above them. Mewtwo stopped, hovering silently for a moment before addressing them. The words didn't come from his mouth, but seemed to form in the air itself. "Thank you." Meowth's eyes widened. Was that Mewtwo talking, he thought to himself? "I have a dream," Mewtwo continued, his voice resonating in their minds. "A dream I cannot bring to fruition on my own. Before I leave, I ask you to join me. Join me in my pursuit, and together we will end this tyranny. No longer will humans use Pokémon as tools for their objectives and destruction. Join me, and we will bring about a new era of freedom." Pikachu looked conflicted, his eyes darting between Mewtwo and the horizon. Meowth understood the hesitation. Pikachu wanted to join Mewtwo, but also longed to reunite with his trainer, the one Meowth had stolen from him. Ash, Meowth thought to himself. Suddenly, another explosion came from underground, and the distant shouts of Giovanni's men drew closer. Time was running out. "Decide," Mewtwo urged, his glowing eyes fixed on them. Pikachu clenched his tiny fists before giving a determined "Pika!" "We'll come," Meowth said, stepping forward. Mewtwo's gaze softened slightly. Then, as if lifted by an unseen force, both Meowth and Pikachu began to hover, rising into the air. They soared upward in perfect sync with Mewtwo, disappearing into the sky. Epilogue. Meowth and Pikachu sat in a spiraling, futuristic building, overlooking a massive arena. Below them, a stream of trainers funneled in, their expressions filled with curiosity and confusion. It was no surprise. Just days ago, each of them had received a mysterious invitation from Mewtwo, summoning them to this undisclosed location for what had been described as the ultimate tournament for the world's strongest Pokémon Masters. But Meowth knew the truth. The tournament was a front for something much bigger, far darker. He couldn't help but regret becoming a part of yet another tyrant's plan. Life had a strange sense of irony, taking him from serving one fanatical man to following a fanatical Pokémon. Next to him, Pikachu sat silently, his sharp eyes scanning the trainers below, sizing up their Pokémon with excitement. But then, Pikachu froze, his ears twitching. In the crowd below, a boy walked in, flanked by a man and a woman. The boy wore a red hat with a familiar green emblem on the front. It was the trainer Meowth had taken Pikachu from all those years ago, Ash Ketchum. To be continued. Well, how's that for a place to stop off? I'm sure you're wondering how this tournament will go if Pikachu is not on Ash's team, or maybe Pikachu will have a change of heart and join his team anyways. Regardless, whatever Mewtwo has cooked up for these trainers and their Pokemon can't be good. So, what did you think of this alternate story? How did you find Meowth becoming a big cheese and then a good guy? Do you think he'll ever reunite with Jesse and James? Let us know what you're thinking down in the comments, and make sure that you like and subscribe for more content like this, especially if you want to see a part 2. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.